It's April 15th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a man dragged beneath the ocean and survived the Titanic, a death mistaken for part of an act, and a fire that was fueled by hatred. Let's begin. On April 15th, 1912, as the Titanic disaster slipped beneath the Atlantic, Second Officer Charles Lightoller refused to leave. He stayed until the very last moment, until the ship finally gave its final breath and the ocean pulled it under. The suction was violent, sudden, and unstoppable. Lightoller was dragged beneath the surface, forced against a metal grate as the massive ship vanished into darkness. The pressure pinned him there. No air, no movement, just a crushing weight of the ocean closing in. And this is the moment where most men would have died. But then, from inside the sinking ship, a buildup of pressure erupted. A violent blast of hot air and steam exploded outward, tearing through the ship's interior, and blew Lightoller free. He was launched upward, through the black water, and towards the surface. Gasping, half-frozen, he emerged into a silent, starlit nightmare. Around him, the ocean was filled with debris and the fading sounds of those who hadn't made it. Nearby, an overturned lifeboat drifted, and he pulled himself onto it, joining a handful of survivors, balancing on its slick underside, trying not to slip into the freezing water below. He would go on to survive 2 world wars and even return to the sea to rescue soldiers at Dunkirk decades later. Charles Lightoller did something almost no one else did. He was dragged into the depths of the Titanic and came back. On April 15th, 1984, under the bright stage lights of live television, Tommy Cooper walked onto the stage, smiling, clumsy, and completely in control of the chaos that he'd built his career on. To millions watching at home and the hundreds of studio audience, it was just another performance. A magician whose tricks never quite worked, and a man who turned failure into laughter. About 10 minutes into his act, without warning, Cooper staggered. He fell backward, slumped against the curtain behind him, but no one panicked, because this looked exactly like something he would really do. His legs remained visible beneath the curtain, awkwardly still, as if he was frozen mid-joke, and the audience laughed. They laughed harder, waiting for the punchline, but it never came. Behind the curtains, something was terribly wrong. As the laughter continued, even backstage, there was hesitation and confusion. Was this part of the act? But by the time reality set in, it was already too late. The show cut to a commercial break, and Cooper was rushed away out of sight. He was pronounced dead shortly after, and for those watching live, the moment never fully made sense. It makes you wonder, when did somebody finally realize that something was wrong, and it wasn't actually a joke? On April 15th, 1923, just after midnight, a quiet dormitory in Sacramento became the center of something far darker than anyone inside could have imagined. The Nihon Shōgakkō fire had begun. Earlier that day, the children had laughed together in a spring picnic. They returned exhausted and fell asleep quickly. Then, in the stillness of the night, smoke. It crept silently through the 3-story wooden building, filling the hallway, before flames were ever seen. By the time anyone realized, escape routes were already vanishing, and inside, confusion turned to panic. Some children woke up, disoriented, while others never woke at all. 10 children would never make it out, but in the chaos, 2 figures moved against the fire. A caretaker, Kei Kaneda, ran into the building again and again, 4 times, each time carrying a child down. Nearby, another man, Wai Yano, guided others through the building's corridors, leading them through the air that was already disappearing. 13 children survived, but the fire itself was no accident. Months later, a man named Fortunato Valencia Padilla would confess not just to this fire, but a string of arsons, many targeting Japanese homes and communities. And just 3 days after the school burned, someone tried to set fire to another nearby Japanese boarding house. It's chilling to think that this fire wasn't random, and this wasn't the last attempt. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.